Mr. Greenspan. Mr. Jankowicz. Mr. Munn. Mr. Rosenblatt.
Here.
Mr. Schwartz.
Here.
Mr. Silver.
Here.
Mr. Tiff.
Here.
Mr. Zlaki.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Presentations.
First, we'd like to introduce Joanna Sidoriosa.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
It's nice seeing this place packed tonight. I don't usually see that. Okay. All right. First and foremost, we actually have a basketball boys game going on right now, and guess what? They're winning. Did anyone have any updates about it yet? Last I heard, there's 20 points. They're up 20 points. That's good. They're versing North right now. Tom River North. All right. So I don't know if you know, Ms. Winters, I know you know. We're having another PBA game. So Lakewood board against the PBA. And we have a tentative date on Thursday, March 27th. And we're donating all the money we get to Big Brothers and Big Sisters, which is a really good foundation here in Lakewood. And we have a lot of stuff in store for that event. We have a lot of halftime games, halftime activities, and we're also thinking of having a photo booth, which is $1 each time we want to take a picture, and then that's going to go to the donation that we have. And as we all know, we're not having TESPA anymore. We're going to have this new test. It's called, what is it? Clark. And sophomores right now are taking practice tests on it, so they could be well prepared. So the rating of the good HESPA scores will be higher than in previous years. And the content and the educational purpose of it has been very difficult. Everything is on a computer. You know, our generation's all part of the next new technological generation. All right. So we went to some bad news. Okay. So thank you, first of all, for having us have delayed openings and early dismissals. It's a really good thing for us. But our concern was that one day that we didn't have delayed opening, our attendance rate went down. A lot of people had to walk to school, which is bad on this weather. And I know some close friends of mine had like accidents too. Okay. All right. I had a video. Well, I wanted to show you a video of this guest speaker that we have from Ms. Horowitz's old school that he had. His name was Kyle Menard. I have the summary of him. Kyle Maynard is a motivational speaker that we're going to have on the 27th, next Thursday, 9th and 10th period. You are all welcome, even you all out there. Kyle Maynard is a motivational speaker, author, entrepreneur, and athlete. Despite being born with arms that end at the elbows and legs near the knees, Kyle's wrestled for one of the best teams in the Southeast, set records in weightlifting, fought in mixed martial arts, and most recently became the first man to crawl on his own to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa. His story has been featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Larry King Live, ESPN Sports Center, HBO's Real Sports, ABC's 2020, and Good Morning America, and as a cover story in the USA Today. He continues to inspire as author of his new book, No Excuses, a New York Times bestseller. He is a man who has no arms, no legs, and he's able to do a lot of things that is possible. None of us don't even try, and we have arms and legs. And he's a man who doesn't, and he tries to be the best he can be. So he's a very good motivational speaker to have in this school, because many of us in this high school, they just slack through high school. Some people struggle, and they're just slacking by. So this motivational speaker, he's going to help put sense into these people's brains in my school. And you guys are invited to come. I had this video set up, but it didn't really come through. All right, and we have this, it's a Top Chef, it's in March 12th. Sodexo is planning it. We're having top chefs all around the world come here in Lakewood High School, and we're gonna have a master top chef competition. And all the money we're raising is gonna be a Sodexo scholarship for our seniors and juniors maybe. And that's really good. And I heard you were gonna be one of our judges, right?
Yes, I am.
And you're all invited. You have to try foods. They're going to be from different, there's going to be an all around the world food, Candyland food, under the sea food, and I'm in one of the teams, and we're doing 4 seasons, so it's going to be food from winter, spring, summer, and fall. That's a really good thing. And I think that's it. And we're going to show you a HESPA song that we have, right? Yeah.
Joanne,
Yeah.
real quick, what day is that, Chef?
March 12th. I have no idea yet. I'll let you know.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say for the Lakewood Board of Ed against, it would be the Lakewood Police Department against the Lakewood Board of Ed, but any board member who would like to play in the Lakewood Board of Ed game, it's March 27th at 6:30, so if you just let me know, so I can let Ms. Porterzo know. So we actually did it on a Thursday night this year, last year we did it on a Friday, so anyone interested on the Lakewood Board of Ed to be on the Lakewood teachers team.
Make sure you win.
We're very competitive though, so just let me know.
There are some board members that expect in-person playing, they
Yes.
just need socks.
Need socks.
Okay.
Joanne, can you get those
We
socks?
have to wear socks.
I'm just prepared.
I am interested. Does anyone else want to interested in playing? So it's March 27th at 6:30, and I will get more information for anyone else who is interested in playing. But everyone else is invited to join us. As Joanne said, the funds go to the Big Brothers Big Sisters as a fundraiser. So keep you posted.
Thank you.
This is a HESPA video that our school made for juniors to prepare more for the HESPA.
The song was created with the English department and our drama department made the video.
We've got this test we've got to take. Math and language arts section. If you work hard, then we'll succeed. But that's a lot to do, and we're a little lazy. And all the students say we don't want to. We hate to read and write. Oh, numbers hurt my brain, forgot my pencil. Oh my God, don't want to take another test. So all the teachers preach HSPA, have to pass the HESPA. HSPA needs to pass the HESPA, 'cause it's true. We need to pass to graduate. Oh, this test on us dreaming, but it can't really be that bad. Our confidence is on the up. The HESPA's got nothing on us. In us, the teachers believe. They give us all the skills we need, and baby, we'll pass. We'll kill it like the NJS. My friends and I, we've cracked the code. We use our HESPA books to get in the zone. 'Cause graduation is approaching, and we want to be with the class of 15. We need to practice open-ended essay prompts and excerpts, multiple choice questions. We'll be experts, now we care. We need to pass to graduate, and we move on to solve for X, addition and subtraction, variables, irrational numbers, and we won't forget our calculators. No, we won't. Oh, this test, no, we got this. Now we know it won't be hard. Our confidence has gone way up. The HESPA's got nothing on us, and us the teachers believe. They give us all the skills we need, and baby, we'll pass. Kill it like the NJS. Oh, oh. We can be better than we've ever dreamed. We have to want to succeed. Oh. test that starts on March 4th, as pioneers will pass, making not want to come back.
Mark, is there ethic presentation now?
Actually, I have to tell you. Okay, the Superintendent's Recognition Award for the month of January goes to a Lakewood High School student who has a 4.0 grade point average and is ranked number 1 in her senior class. This student has achieved high honor roll for every marking period during her time at Lakewood High School. She currently takes AP English, AP Physics, and AP Calculus. She's a member of Rewind Club, the National Art Honor Society, the National Honor Society, and PALS. The student has received the American Chemical Society Award, Polytechnic Medalist, WOBM Student of the Month, and the National Science Merit Award. She participates in both softball and field hockey, in which she is captain of her team. She is accepted to the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Please join me in congratulating Caitlin Peltz.
Mark, are you ready? Please go ahead.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, members of the public, members of the administration. Thank you for asking me to speak here this evening on this important topic. New Jersey law requires that school districts throughout the state of New Jersey discuss the School Ethics Act, which is the ethical laws that governs Board of Education conduct, again, in Lakewood and throughout the state of New Jersey. It requires that we do this at a public meeting once a year, so this will satisfy our legal requirements. In the preamble, the opening statement of the School Ethics Act, our legislature has explained why we have an Ethics Act. And what it says is that in our representative form of government, it's essential that conduct of members of local boards of education and local administrators hold the respect and the confidence of the people. The officials must avoid conduct which is in violation of the public trust or which creates a justifiable impression among the public that such trust is being violated. What does that mean exactly? It means as board members, not only do you have to avoid actual conflicts of interest, but you also have to avoid what's called the appearance of impropriety. If it doesn't pass what I sometimes refer to as the smell test, it's conduct that you should avoid as board members. Who does the School Ethics Act apply to? It applies to board members. It applies to employees or officers of the New Jersey School Boards Association, and it also applies to certain administrators in a school district, the assistant superintendent, the business administrator, and principals, and in some cases, supervisors. As part of the Ethics Act, we also have the Code of Ethics. The Code of Ethics only applies to board members, and I'll talk about what that Code of Ethics says in a minute. The School Ethics Act is essentially broken down into two sections. We have what are called the prohibited acts. Those sections deal with conflicts of interest, and an example might be that no school official shall use or attempt to use his official position to secure unwarranted privileges or advantages or employment for himself, members of his immediate family, or others. And then the second part of the School Ethics Act is the Code of Ethics, which I'm going to talk about now. Here are some of the relevant Code of Ethics provisions. We've got Section D, which says that I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they are well run. You as board members are not administrators, that's what you've hired Ms. Winters for. Your job is simply to make sure that the schools are well run, not to actually administer the schools. Section C says, I'm going to confine my board action to policy making, planning, and appraisal. And I will only help frame policies and plans after the board is consulted with those who are affected by them. What does that mean? The main functions of a board of education are setting policy, planning for the future of the school district, and appraisal, assessing how things are being done. Those are your primary functions as a board of education member. Section E, I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education, and I will make no personal promises or take private action that may compromise the board. You only have authority to act while you are here at a seated meeting and voting on resolutions. That is your authority to act as board members. Outside this room, you do not have authority to act on behalf of the Board of Education. Confidentiality, and we've discussed this before. The law says that we can go into closed session and discuss confidential student matters, litigation matters, and so forth. The Code of Ethics requires that you hold those matters confidential. Section I will support and protect school personnel in the proper performance of their duties. You're supposed to support and protect those administrators and teachers that you've hired in the school district. Does that mean you have to rubber stamp administrative decisions? Absolutely not. But you're not supposed to publicly embarrass your administrators, and we'll talk about some cases in a minute. Section J, this is important. It says that I will refer all complaints to the chief school administrator, and I will only act on those complaints at a public meeting after the failure of an administrative solution. So as board members, you might have members of the public coming up to you, concerns, problems presented to you. What are you supposed to do when members of the public come up to you with concerns and complaints? You're supposed to say, thank you for those complaints. I'm going to refer them to Ms. Winters, who's our chief school administrator. She will respond to you, she will address them, and she will get back to you. That's what your job is as board members, to refer complaints, not handle them yourselves. Who can file a complaint under the School Ethics Act? Any person, anybody can file a complaint with the School Ethics Act, alleging a violation of the School Ethics Act or the Code of Ethics. Can the Board of Education as an entity file a complaint against somebody? The answer is no. Only individual board members can do so. What is the time period for filing an ethics complaint? The School Ethics Act says we have a 6-month statute of limitations. In other words, you have to file a complaint within 6 months of the time that the alleged ethical violation took place. We have in New Jersey the School Ethics Commission. The School Ethics Commission is the administrative arm of the Department of Education, and they are the only entity that can determine whether an ethical violation has taken place. If there's a question as a board member about a particular course of action, if you're concerned about doing something, you can request an advisory opinion from the School Ethics Commission as to what your proposed course of action is. They will respond to you in writing to say that, yes, you can do that, it's not unethical, or don't do that, it is unethical. So that is something that we have the right to do. You can even ask for an ethics opinion about the conduct of a fellow board member. The only constraint is that you have to copy that board member on your request for the advisory so that the fellow board member can respond. What are the sanctions for the violations of the School Ethics Act? The most minimal sanction is a reprimand. Censure is the next level of sanction. That's a public resolution read at a board meeting censuring somebody. Suspension from the Board of Education, and then lastly and the most severe penalty is obviously removal. Board President is the spokesperson for the Board of Education. Individual board members should not express the opinion of the Board of Education or position on an issue unless expressly authorized to do so, particularly when you're dealing with the press or blogs, and I refer to you to Board Policy 0146, which is the authority of the board members. Okay. Board members do have First Amendment rights. You have the right to express your opinion on issues. The only constraint that you have is you're not allowed to give out inaccurate information. So if you say, for instance, I don't think we should support this budget for next year because A, B, C, and D, make sure that the reasons that you're giving are accurate, but you're absolutely entitled to express your opinion. When writing to newspapers, blogs, etc., it's important that you have a disclaimer on there. And that disclaimer has to say that you are speaking as an individual. You are not speaking on behalf of the Board of Education, and that your opinion doesn't necessarily reflect the viewpoint of the majority of the Board of Education. It's important that you have that disclaimer on there. All right, so now I'm going to test your knowledge a little bit. Make sure you're paying attention, okay? Does the Board of Education have to have a public comment portion at every meeting? What do you think? Yes? We gotta keep track of how they do on the scoring, okay? True, they got that one right. Absolutely. The law says we have to have a public comment portion in every meeting where members of the public can get up and express their opinions on issues. You will be given a chance this evening. Number one is
May I
true.
interrupt you on that one?
Certainly.
Are there special meetings that do not have a public portion to it?
Question is, at special meetings, are there not public portion comment sections? The answer is, even at a special meeting, you do have to have a public comment portion. The law was changed a couple of years ago. You didn't have to have any comment portion, but now the law says at every meeting of this Board of Education, whether it's a regular meeting or a special meeting, we do have to have that public comment section.
I just want to add, that's why we publicize the agenda for the special meeting.
Correct.
To give everyone an idea of what's going to be discussed and people can come out.
Yep, we give notice as to what's going to be discussed so that any member of the public is notified in advance, and we post that on our website as well. Okay, question number 2. Can a Board of Education member share executive session discussions with a spouse or an immediate family member? What do you think?
Nope.
The answer is no. The answer is false. The answer is true. I'm sorry, false. And so the board got that correct. I got that. No. The answer is your spouses, friends, relatives, they are not bound by the school code of ethics like you are, so you are not supposed to share that information with them. Okay, a board member who fails to attend the New Jersey School Boards Association mandated training may be removed from the Board of Education by the Ethics Commission. The law says that board members have to go for training. The question is, if you don't go, can the Ethics Commission remove you? True or false?
Yes, true.
True. Okay. Absolutely correct. Should the board stop somebody who wants to get up in a public meeting and criticize a teaching staff member, a member of the staff? What do you think? Should we gavel that person down and say, hey, you're not allowed to get up here and be critical? Or do we allow the person to express their opinion? What do you think?
Not allowed?
False.
So the answer is, the board should not permit a member of the
Yes,
public to
true.
criticize. Do you think that's true or false?
That is true.
That is actually false.
Ooh.
There was a case that went to the New Jersey Supreme Court involving the West Windsor School District. A member of the public got up, he was very critical of a basketball coach, didn't like that coach. Board president gavelled him down and said, you're not allowed to get up here and be critical of our staff members. The New Jersey Supreme Court held that it was a First Amendment free speech issue, and unless the person was being vulgar or obscene or something like that, they had a right to express a negative point of view. A lot of boards don't get that.
Mark,
correct.
here's a question. I think it's incumbent on the board not to respond to it.
Absolutely correct, Mr. Schwartz. Board members should not be discussing personnel issues in public, so the board's proper response would be, thank you for your comments, and that's pretty much it. Exactly.
I think the board members should not discuss personnel in private when there are 5 board members, because it's always 5 board members.
Unless we provide that person with a rights notice. Correct, Mr. Slotman, right. Okay, number 5. And this kind of leads to your next point. A board member who wants to discuss matters that may adversely affect the employment of a teacher should send that person a rights notice. So if Mr. Schwartz wants to talk about somebody, should he on his own just send somebody a rights notice? What do you think?
No.
The answer is false. There's a procedure. If we want to discuss a staff member, the law says they're entitled to get a rights notice, but that should go through Ms. Winters as the superintendent. It should go through Mr. Zlotkin as the board president. No board member should start sending out rights notices on their own. Can a board member ethically advocate for a special interest group or a political candidate so long as they are not biased or surrendering their independent judgment? And the key word is, just to give you a little hint, or the last sentence, part of that sentence, so long as the member does not surrender his independent judgment. So can we speak for a special interest group, a special ed parent, or something like that? Is that our right as board members?
Yes.
The answer is yes. So long as you don't lose your independent judgment, the answer is you can do that. Just a few more. Here are real cases that have gone before the School Ethics Commission. So the question is this a violation or not? A board member violated Section E of the code we talked about earlier when he promised a fellow board member that if he voted for his board president, the member could have any committee chair he wanted and his own private parking spot. Do you think that was a violation?
Nah.
Some say yes, and if you say no.
Yes.
We got 2 yeses. The answer is actually no. The School Ethics Commission said it was an idle promise. It really didn't mean much. We're not going to take it very seriously. It really was not a violation. So a board member tells a school district employee during a heated election that he better hope that his wife wins the election to the Board of Education. So this employee's wife was actually running for the Board of Education. A board member said, you better hope your wife wins that seat on the Board of Education, and if she doesn't, you better watch your back. So this was a comment made to a staff member by a Board of Education member. Violation? Yes. Absolutely. supporting and protecting school personnel. Number 9, a board member submitted a letter to the editor in support of 3 incumbent candidates who were running for the board in 2010. The letter identified the author as a current member of the board and listed reasons why the incumbents should be reelected. Proper or not proper? What do you think? Can you say, hey, I think Mr. Zlotnick's done a great job and he should be reelected?
I think it's proper.
Absolutely proper. No violation. Can a board member participate in exit interviews with staff? You know what an exit interview is? Obviously, when somebody leaves the district, you sit down with them and say, hey, what did we do well? What did we not do well? Is that the place of a board member to sit in on those exit interviews? Mr. Tift is saying, no, it's not proper. I agree with Mr. Tift. That's administration. School ethics held, that's crossing the line. That's an administrator's function. How about this one? A board member whose husband and brother are employed as teachers in the district should refrain from discussions or votes regarding employment decisions related to her family members' supervisors, including vice principals, principals, assistant principals. So if a board member has relatives in the district, should the board member abstain from votes pertaining to the supervisors of the board members' family members?
I would say yes.
Absolutely, yes. You should refrain from that. The School Ethics Commission held it was improper for a board member to be sitting in on those discussions. 2 more. A board member violated the code of ethics when he commented on his Facebook page, now if we could do something about our local terrorist that destroys dreams and burns futures. And then the superintendent's picture was linked to that posting. What do you think? Improper for a board member to say that about the superintendent? Yeah, it's a problem. That's a serious problem. Tiff got that one right. Good point. Final question. Did a board act beyond the scope of its authority when it passed a resolution censuring one of its own members for an ethical violation?
No.
Yes? Anybody think yes? Can a board censure one of its own members for a violation of the Ethics Act and the Code of Ethics?
I believe the board member can.
The answer is actually no. This is a case that went to the appellate division. The appellate division held that only the School Ethics Commission can censure a board member. The board can bring the complaint to the attention of the School Ethics Commission, but the board lacks authority to censure one of our fellow members. Okay? That was the last one. Any questions? You did well. How many did they get right? Did you keep track? I think I got 2 wrong, and they got most of them right, which is a pretty good track record. Most of my boards don't do that well, so you should be commended.
Thank you.
Got a gold star this evening. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very informative. Thank you. But you
Use Twitter.
We have with us Mr. Pacone, Ralph Pacone from our auditing firm. He's going to make a brief presentation on the budget and the deficit. Somebody highlight some of the areas that are causing the deficit. We will have an in-depth presentation after the Finance Committee meets. Mr. Pacone.
Thank you very much. We were asked to provide a projection of the district's general fund balance at June 30th, 2014.
Excuse me, Ralph.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
We were asked to provide a projection of the district's general fund balance at June 30th, 2014. We analyzed all items of revenue and expenditures in the general fund through December 31st of 2013 and projected the deficit, and we provided the district with a report dated January 15, 2014. The projected deficit at June 30th, 14 in that particular report is approximately $5 million. The following key areas were noted. With regards to revenues, there was one significant deficit in projected revenue, and that's for a state aid called extraordinary aid. It's aid that the state gives you for special education costs. It's not known until April what the state is going to award to a particular district. In the 13-14 budget, there was $4.5 million anticipated as revenue. Our projection is that the district will receive possibly as low as $3 million on that. That's based on recent history. Hopefully we'll get more than that, but our particular projection is $1.5 million deficit for that particular type of revenue. That was the only revenue that had any significant deficiency. With regards to expenses, we noted the following areas where there was significant...
Rob, so the shortfall in the predictions in terms of state aid was how much exactly?
Approximately $1.5 million.
$1.5 million.
We budgeted $4.5 million. Based on recent performance, we're anticipating $3 million. However, that particular aid is in the governor's budget for 14-15, so it's not going to be known what you're going to get until April. So
we're talking about last year. We're talking about last year with projected revenue from the state.
$4.5 million.
Right. And is it known why they gave us less money? Because we project based on the formula, right?
Correct.
I understand, but with that formula, our projections are made on the formula.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We received $2.9 million in 12-13, so I'm not quite sure.
So the expenses that we projected through June of this year, of 14, the fiscal year, right? 13 to 14 are on target. It's just the state aid that we have received is short of what we projected.
Correct. Well, our anticipation, we're not sure if we're going to get $1.5 million yet because that aid isn't known until April of this year. So we're still 2 months away from knowing exactly what you're going to get.
For last year?
Well, it's for the current fiscal year.
For the current fiscal year of 13-14.
Correct. You applied for that.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You applied for that aid right around this time of year. Okay. So you submit an application, and the state tells you what you're going to get. However, you do the budget a year ago, so you're anticipating $4.5 million. We're kind of projecting $3 million, but it could be higher than that. But based on recent past years, we felt more comfortable projecting $3 million.
So the numbers for the fiscal year 13-14 for the special ed, the state aid did not come in yet.
It didn't come in yet, correct.
Okay, so
It's the only
how
state
we
aid
know
we don't
there's a
know
shortfall? Maybe we will get.
Oh, absolutely, you bet. Just based on our projection. Correct, and we're basing that on the last couple of years, what aid you have gotten, but as your special education costs go up, then your potential aid goes up as well.
Okay, but that's not the reason why we have a shortfall in special ed.
No.
That's not the reason.
No, explain
You're saying the
that.
reason is, just 1 second, Tom. You're saying the reason is because we didn't project the revenue, what it's supposed to be, but that revenue didn't come in yet.
Correct.
So if you're saying now that we are short in special ed, are you saying that we projected expenses too
He's
low?
saying it's a combination of factors. He only stated the first factor so far, which is the shortfall in anticipated.
Correct. We anticipated,
Why didn't we look at last year and say, hey, we're not going to get it? That's what, I mean, what I'm asking is why last year we said 4.5 and not 3? Because this year, what I'm saying is the auditor says this year we have a shortfall based on the previous years.
Based on what they've given, he's
In the past year.
Correct.
So why last year did we project 4.5 and not look? Okay, that's my question.
I'm not sure the answer to that.
Yeah, Tom, if you
If I
could.
may, explain that we're talking about extraordinary aid, not regular special education tuition aid.
Correct. You get what's called categorical special education aid, where in the beginning of the year, the state tells you exactly what you're going to get, and then that's what you get during the course of the year. This is kind of an odd state aid because they don't let you know what you're going to get until you're 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year. So you have to budget what you think you're going to get, and for whatever reason, we budgeted higher than...
I understood. Tom, can you just explain why we budgeted 4.5 last year? If at this point, looking at the past years, we're saying that 4.5 was too much.
Because when we had tuition that we were budgeting in the IDEA fund that was not eligible for state aid, for the extraordinary aid, and that's what we were talking about. So we moved those tuition costs into the current expense budget, which automatically made it eligible for that, which it could be any place between 67 and 75% of the excess costs over $55,000 per student. So that would increase our extraordinary aid, and that's why we did it, because when I spoke to special ed, that's what we felt we were going to get.
Why didn't that materialize?
We don't know yet.
We don't know
Well,
yet.
we're saying right now, we do have, what I'm saying is this, that today we're saying we have a shortfall.
Right.
Based on past experiences. But last year, we said we're gonna have a revenue of 4.5 based on past experience. So how does,
No,
how we
no,
reconcile? Okay.
based on switching it over from IDEA to current expense budget. No, it was a good move. It was a good move.
Why would you anticipate now 3 million? You're still holding on 4.5.
Well, because he's basically on past experience,
You're not
but
looking at the trick you did?
I don't think,
Well, we're not-
we talk about it.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not
I'm-
a trick, it's actually putting it into a eligible category.
What's reality? 3 or 4.5?
Ultimately, we're not sure because the aid hasn't been given yet. And we're just being conservative on our end because
You're saying it might be 4.5?
absolutely.
So why don't we go with the number that Tom put in last year of 4.5?
The state aid for that particular type of aid is very volatile. The last several years, the state has given that amount out, and then they've reduced it by a certain percentage every year. So a couple of years ago, they gave you 75% of what their allocation was. This past year, it was down to 67%. So our estimate was based on the last 2 years of what you had received. Now, I'm not disagreeing with Mr. Zampola, you guys may very well get more, but we didn't feel comfortable in our projection stating that the state's going to give you that much more money. It certainly could happen based on the reshifting of these expenses, and hopefully it will happen, but we just didn't feel comfortable going with that in our particular
Okay, so
projection.
you design it in a way to get more state aid,
That's correct.
and the order says, well, we're not sure if you'll be able to get state aid on based on how you did it. I got it.
That's correct. Trying to create more money.
I got it.
Tom, may I just ask a question, Tom? With the reduction of state aid, did the state also reduce the cap of how much you're allowed to spend? So they're mandating us that we must spend up to the cap,
Well, yeah.
but they will shortchange us on the aid. So we have to pay more.
No, we're okay with the aid. Now, right now, we're all shortchanged in the state. Everybody in the state is being shortchanged.
Unless they would lower the cap.
Right.
But
But
we
the
did.
cap is not low.
Tom, my question to you is, how confident are you? And I understand that it's the first time we did it, designed in a way to get more special ed. Do you think we'll be able to get the 4.5 that you're projecting?
I think it's closer to 4 million.
We'll be able to-
I think we're gonna get more.
You
A lot more.
A lot more
Well,
than.
because just the movement, it's just taking those children who were not eligible last year, who are now eligible, it's mostly the children in Shy.
Right,
Now, that tuition was $92,000.
right.
So anything over $55,000 was eligible for.
I understand. So the question to you is, why do you feel we're not gonna get it? Because Tom is saying that it's not just, it's not trick, we just made kids eligible for state aid, and we should be receiving, we have basically more hands receiving state aid. So
Sure.
why shouldn't we receive state aid?
Well, the reason that we projected it low was because of just the way the nature of this state aid is. The two things, number one, historically, they've taken whatever state aid they're going to give you and they knock it down a percentage every year. So we at this point have no way of knowing are they going to fund you at 75%, 67%, or 60%. The other reason is this particular state aid, although they award it to you in April, they don't pay it to you until July. And the reason for that is that the state puts it in their next fiscal year's budget. So we don't even know what the governor next week is going to indicate how much state aid is going to be. So there's too many factors out there on our end that we didn't feel comfortable projecting it higher. We're certainly not saying that what the board did in their projection of revenue is completely inaccurate. But based on those factors with the state aid, we just didn't feel comfortable projecting more based on what we've got. But we're certainly not saying that it's guaranteed you're going to be in.
I got it. So the 1.5 million is something that might potentially not be shortfall.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, these are all estimates
Okay.
and projections. Any other
Oh,
questions?
go ahead. Just, yeah, continue.
With regard, that was the only significant revenue that we needed to address from the report. With regards to expenditures, the following areas were areas where there were significant potential deficits. Salaries, all of the line items of salaries in the budget, we're projecting approximately $850,000 deficit above what was budgeted. Purchase professional education services, which are specifically substitutes, we're projecting a $1.1 million deficit.
Well, just going back, we'll slow down a little bit. So the 800,000 is in salaries?
All the salary line.
Okay, so we have more employees. Where's the shortfall, Tom?
It's the PCR that we used, the precision control roster.
Okay.
We used from the prior year. And we used that to develop the budget. Because remember, I came here in January.
Okay.
How to develop that. And I used that number, and we're finding it's going to be short.
What was projected for the salaries?
I'm not sure what the total amount was, but we were, actually, I do have that, I'm sorry.
It's 39,000. 39 million.
Yeah, 39 million is what we're projecting the expenditures, 39.2 million, which is approximately $850,000 more than what we have budgeted.
Was the budget 38,357, and we're projecting 39,205?
Correct.
And
It doesn't include the 20 fund, that's just the 10.
so what was the original budget based on?
The position control officer that they had, before I got here, the position control officer that I used to develop the budget.
And when was that developed? What numbers were used to develop?
We're a year before I got here.
So is anybody?
No, we have a new one now, this year. We developed.
Tom, my question is, PCR, is that all the line items for the salaries?
Yes.
When you say it was not, it was wrong when the budget was made, there were salaries missing in there?
That's correct.
Where were they?
Oh, I don't know exactly what top of my head, but it was, people were in the wrong places, like they were budgeted in the wrong
In
category,
different line items?
the different line items.
Okay, substitutes, this is the first year that the board has outsourced substitute teachers. We're projecting at this point a potential deficit of $1.1 million in that particular line item.
On the substitute teachers?
Correct.
And that's something to give background, that is because we have more people taking.
No, we just didn't have enough in the budget for substitutes, we didn't expect this money for substitutes this year.
Okay, we have more this year than last year?
Yeah.
And the reason, is there any reason for that? Just more people taking the lead?
If I recall, we were actually very good staff last year with substitutes. No, we had a problem. We didn't have enough substitutes. Yeah. So we had, and that's your answer.
So is it costing us more because we're hiring, we're outsourcing? Because we're outsourcing?
That's it. No, it's not costing, it's costing us less. It's costing us less in different ways. First of all, they're getting the substitutes that we would have to interview and bring into the board. Second of all, with the new health benefits law, if they work over 30 hours a week, we would have to provide health benefits for them. And we'd have to keep track of that, and we're not doing that. The health, the company's doing it. And they would pay for that health benefits, which would cost us probably, excuse me, another $250,000 or more.
Hasn't that been delayed? It's been waived. Hasn't that part of the healthcare?
That's why we went with, that's why we
It's
went
been
with.
waived. We would not have to have been delayed. It's been delayed by now 2 years.
I think it's
Till 2016.
I think it depends on the size of the employee.
Whatever, but okay, so that's not really savings because,
Well, right, but that's why we went.
yeah, we thought we would have. Right.
Exactly.
Lease purchase, principal and interest, we're projecting $600,000 short over what the current budget is. I believe the reason for that was when we took the lease purchase, the thought process was it was going to be defeased with a referendum, which never happened. So that particular lease purchase, principal and interest payment, I don't believe was put into the original budget.
I don't understand that. It was going to be put to referendum?
September. Remember, we could go to September. We started off with 5.7 million, we went to 10, and then we were told that Clifton Avenue was worth 50 million, and it escalated.
But that budget should have been created in March
Funny?
of the previous year.
No, they pushed it off, they wanted to put it in the referendum now. They should have put it in the last year's budget.
I think the thought was that it was going to be on the March referendum for this year, for the public to approve, and then you would be short the $500,000.
No, it's September.
When last year's
September
budget
last
was
year?
created,
September this year.
last year's
I know it
budget,
moved to September.
last year's
No,
budget.
last September.
Yes, September.
I don't know, last,
It was supposed to be a referendum on the lease purchase last September 13. I'm not sure.
Why wasn't it? Because we were waiting for the
State approval, I guess.
the state approval for the projects that we had escalated from the $5.2 million that we were 5.7. They had to wait for the state to come up, pardon me? Put the two referendums together? Put everything together, right? Go for one, because it costs money for a referendum. Well, this referendum, this lease purchase was supposed to be on the referendum that the board chose to do this next November, next September.
Go ahead, Rob.
Tuition, we're projecting a potential deficit of $1.2 million. Just to give you an idea of where your tuition costs have gone, from fiscal year 12 to fiscal year 13, they went up 26% in the general fund budget, and our projection for 13-14 is that it's going up an additional 8% over last year's actual expenditures.
Last year went up by 20.
In 12-13, we went up 26% over the prior year. This year, we're projecting an additional 8%.
Where 14, 15.
In 13-14.
13, 14.
Our projection over actual 12-13.
Where is the growth on this particular tuition for the department?
I think we're, I'm not too sure, the growth in the tuition and special ed.
Where is the growth in the tuition?
I don't know.
I think it's primarily special education.
Special education?
Oh, yeah, is that what you're talking, yeah, special ed. Where in special ed, I don't know that, but I know it's special ed.
Okay.
Yeah, replacement, but I don't know exactly where the replacements are.
So
We
we-
did budget, if, Mr. President, if you remember, we budgeted $3.5 million over last year's budget in tuition,
Okay.
in the tuition line. We budgeted that much more, and we're still short.
Well, Ms. Winter says that it was cut by $1 million.
In the beginning of this year, we cut $1 million.
Right. So we have a growth, unanticipated growth in the special ed.
Correct.
Which special tuition, okay.
Transportation, we're anticipating a potential deficit of $1.5 million. Just to give you an idea where this has been going, from 12 to 13, we went up approximately 8%. From last year to our projection this year is an additional 15%.
So 13, 14, 15% growth from last year.
Correct.
Are you saying the budgeted amount that we anticipated?
The actual expenditure, so actually what you spent on transportation last year versus what our projections for transportation expenses are this year.
So it doubled.
So we should be off by 7%.
Well, what did we budget for? What percentage growth?
I'm not positive.
As a matter of fact, we cut that budget by $1 million next year under the board's direction.
I remember that.
So the
Didn't go up, it went down.
The budget, Tom, the budget was, we did not increase the actual transportation budget, we cut it.
We did increase it, but we didn't increase it to the level that was recommended to.
Okay. Because it's actually one of the things that.
Who writes out who gives I know that it came from the board, and there was a big fighting about that line item, but who ultimately signed off on that, the board comes to the board? That they agree to present that to the board and give numbers and what?
At the time, it was the finance committee.
The finance committee sits with the VA, the city superintendent, all the numbers are thrown around and everything is done. The board does not know, the board is taking direction, the finance committee, from people as, again, VA, superintendents, heads of transportation, everything. If that number comes in front of the board, that means that ultimately, people are agreeing to that number, right? Besides the board. I know that Gus was not agreeing to that number because we had many conversations, and there were other board members who fought this number. My question is, the facts are that we knew we were going to be short. It was never presented to the board as a fact that you're going to be short of transportation.
Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Every line item, I think,
Mr. Greenspan,
There were many fights about this.
now, let me tell you something, Mr. Greenspan, you raised the budget by $6.4 million last year. And if you recall, and we'll get the tape out if you'd like, I presented it to the board and I said, you are really very high right now. We can't go much higher than this because we're at our cap. And I explained it to the board, so we had to cut it someplace. The problem was there were not enough revenues coming in to match the budget need.
And therefore, what, so under the budget so that we could pass the budget, and then come this year, and now we have a shortfall.
Last year, March.
I'm asking you,
I'm
you just
telling
said
you, there's no
clearly,
choice. I'm telling you.
we have no choice? Am I missing something here?
The only one number,
You just said that we came in front of the board, there's gonna be a six, you're coming up to your cap, so you have to cut somewhere, so just throw it into transportation, be short, and now we're short, $1.5 million.
no, the board cut the transportation, not the MO.
it was actually the finance committee's recommendation.
Thomas saying that Thomas saying he did not cut it, he said he got a directive from the finance committee. Right, not the board, because I, as part of the board, was saying that we're short $1 million.
You'd be asking the same question, but cut from another line item. We had to cut, we should cut a little bit across the board.
A little bit across the board, not
But the same shortfall, but still.
not necessarily.
No, you don't. If you up to the cap, and you have expenditures that you know you're gonna have, you don't just under budget, you go for a referendum. That's what it is. You can't say, well, I'm short now, then
Okay, so
we're
let's
gonna be.
just next year, we'll start the process.
Yes.
We should, that was just what we did. We should have done a referendum last year.
Yes.
But no, instead, let's just cut somewhere where we know we're gonna be short and leave it now and the board is short.
So basically, what Sakai is saying is this is not a blindsided
But everybody
number. We knew this was
understood-
gonna happen.
Everybody understood that even if there was a referendum, it would have went down anyways, as it always goes. So
I'm not
the-
saying yes or no, the facts are, there should have been, did you ever hear that subject about it?
You can't under budget.
I'm asking you a question, did you hear that? We had a friend, I don't know who, I remember lastly, Barry, and I think you actually were part of it. We were talking about that we needed more money for transportation. And there were select few that were fighting and saying, no, we don't need it. Okay? The facts are, we do, I'm hearing this now, but the reason why we just cut $1 million out of transportation is because we were reaching our cap, so therefore a slice of there. What I'm saying is that last year, the point is that we come here now, we're talking about, decided we should go for a referendum. We're talking now. about
Again, the
numbers of
referendum would have went down
transportation.
anyway,
We're not-
so the cuts would have had to
We're
be-
talking about transportation now that we were short $1.5 million, right? We're not short $1.5 million in transportation. The facts are, we knew that we were $1.5 million short in transportation.
That's not, you had an argument about it. You had a discussion about it, whether you were, whether you weren't. The final decision was to cut it. That was
I don't-
not